Radio check. It's race day. Welcome, race fans, to a showcase of driving perfection. My name's Webbo, and let's get down trackside. Hold on tight, we're gonna go for it. Boom, that's how it's done. Whoa, easy. Surely not all the way around the outside. Oh yeah, we're cooking now. Shake and bake, baby. Shake and bake. This is a roller coaster of emotions. The drivers are pushing their machines to the limit and beyond. Woo, it doesn't get any better than that. We wait for the lights, the revs build and so does the excitement. And it's drop the clutch and go, go, go! Okay, driver, it's hammer time. This driver is an artist and the racetrack is their canvas. Did you see that? Did you see that? Wow! Let's watch it again. Ooh, hopefully they'll get away with that one. What a great start, and it looks like we can build on this now and really make a good race of it. There's the fastest lap, folks. No mercy on the menu today. Yeah, sideways is rarely ever faster, but you do get style points. And we roll the safety car dice. Leave them alone. They know what they're doing. Oh no, someone's gone bowling into turn one. What a shocker. Moving left, jinking right, keep them guessing. Oh, Marine has a side gig. And we go down the inside, Danny Rick style. We're on the edge of our seats here, folks. The racers are pushing their limits, risking it all for that coveted first place position and the all-important win. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The two cars ahead are fighting with each other. It's slowing them down. And through we go. That driver is a complete and total. A word has not been invented to describe how complete and total they are. But they are one, and a complete and total one at that. And it all comes down to this, the final lap. If you smell what this driver is cooking. as any to us. Will you subscribe yet? There's your Grand Slam. Pole, fastest lap, and the win.
Welcome, race fans. A very warm welcome to all of you to this Deviant Racing League season finale here with Webbo in the comms box. Hope everybody is doing well and looking forward to a fantastic race day ahead of us. We look forward then. It is going to be Le Mans. It's going to be an hour of racing around Le Mans with a 10-minute qualifying, of course, as per usual. We've got some special liveries marking the season end around this historic track, of course in a historic layout as well. We're going to be running down the Mulsanne Straight with 0 chicanes. We're going to be topping 179 miles an hour to 180 miles an hour depending on the car on their own. Who knows, maybe even up to 185 using slipstreams, and there'll be plenty of slipstream action ready for you. Welcome to everybody watching live. Welcome to everybody who also tunes in later. Look forward to seeing how our drivers are going to tackle this particular circuit. Now, it's going to be an interesting one. There is only going to be perhaps maximum 2 flying laps in qualifying. The cars will get very light on fuel towards the end of that 2 laps, but qualifying has not been extended in favour of what is a very long and difficult circuit for the drivers. Well, it looks like it's going to be a sunny sunset sort of late afternoon setting here for the drivers. You can see already Zen catching a little bit of a slipstream on the back of the Team Zin car by S. Berman. And let me talk to you a little bit then about where the drivers find each other in terms of the standings. Nismo leads us on 93 points with a drop score. He has 3 fastest laps, 3 consecutive wins at the moment does Nismo, which takes him to that 93 total. Then in second place we have teammate Zen for Team Spotify on 75 points. The championship almost out of reach, you have to say, for Zen. It would need a highly unusual, highly irregular set of circumstances to take place here for Nismo to lose this championship. One hand very much on the trophy we have in store. Glovas has 64 points, reigning champion, has 64 with the drop score in third place, and in fourth it's a tie at the moment between Zanshin and Komakopa. We have Chaotica in 6th place on 46 points, just 2 shy of that 4th place joint, and then Camzilla on 41. We have Mercury 36, tied with Dirksey and Floody for 8th position. Preston also there in that tied 8th position, all just above the relegation line. Don't Need Time has 33, could book a position there into the relegation playoffs, or may be able to book himself a GT3 seat for next year. Who knows? As I say, we've got some celebration liveries. Nismo sticking to what has been working for him on the current race streak of 3 consecutive races. Don't Need Time has 33 points, could still manage to save himself from relegation as Nismo gets out onto the dirt, gets his tyres dirty. And then we've got B-Boop in 13th on 14 points with T-Deeds at the back. Recently promoted, looks like he's heading back down, or at least he'll be in the playoffs in a week or two's time to come. Team Spotify lead the championship, the combined championship, on 270 points. Have already locked that in, and it is a battle then for second position in the championship. We have Team Special K on 170. Team Mountain Dew have 154. With Brando on 130, Puma are tied in 5th place with Team Zin, and Coca-Cola at the bottom of the standings at this current time. Let's try and find you the lead driver on track here. It's going to be Mercury, as we will perhaps sit on board for the first lap around Le Mans with a clear track in front of us. Mercury rocking the split orange and white asymmetric AMG livery here, as we head then across the Descente de la Chapin towards the Dunlop curve for the first time. and it is going to be a tight chicane down to one of the slowest corners on the track, slightly misleading, this corner on the track map, but it is very, very tight indeed. We turn left and then down into Descente de la Chapelle towards Tertre Rouge, and the S-shaped turn. We're going to be then trying to spot our turn-in point for the Virage du Tertre Rouge, which is the right-hander. Try not to overstep the track limits, which is the painted white line. It's quite difficult to see sometimes, especially over these large bonneted GT3 cars, and most obvious of all of those is the extended bonnet of this Mercedes AMG. Have a look from behind, nothing behind us, nothing to worry us. There should be the opportunity for some good towing going on down in those second and third laps, potentially. You can see the soft tyres have almost hit 30% on the most limited tyre. Nothing to do here on this particular part of the circuit because there's no chicanes, so we're just going to run line astern. The cars seem to have found some space for themselves, with the exception of the Zin of Camzilla and Chaotica currently clocking 181 to Cams. I think they're bump drafting each other along the straight, but we'll be just about to turn right on the kink of Unandier, and then we'll be trying to find a good braking zone for Virage de Mulsanne at the end of the straightaway at the southern tip of the circuit. It's been a long time with your foot pinned on the throttle as we wind in at full speed, get the car nice and steady down to second gear, avoid those bollards, straighten out the corner as much as possible, and then we have another long little straightaway. It would be long by any other circuit's measure. Got a fairly stiff breeze as well, headwind into that corner we've just been through, the Mulsanne corner. That should extend the degree to which we will see that slipstreaming of the cars. I have some great notes provided by Larry on the liveries to talk about later. But again, just dropping one gear down in towards Indianapolis. Very slow corner. Use the banking if you can. Little short squirt before you get back down onto second gear, maybe even first gear, especially in qualifying on the soft tyres. Power out of Arnage. We will probably see a few accidents and incidents through there. Then you've got the yellow chevrons indicating where any penalties will be taken. Fully off throttle for the period defined on top of the race car. And then we are again building the speed just for a short while until we get up to the Porsche curves. And here we go into them. We're going to drop down to fifth gear, maybe even fourth. Slightly missed the braking zone and the apex through there, but we can recover that. You can usually take this one at full speed and then it's back down again, possibly to third gear for the next right-hander. The S is Ducating before we pass the Maison Blanche, the White House, on the way out of here. On the way down to the Ford chicane before the Raccordement chicane will finish us off. You're looking at the Ferris wheel on your right, the pit lane entry to the right as well. It's a very slow pit lane entry. The drivers have to get down to. This chicane is much more open than the second Raccordement chicane. Avoid that red curb like the plague. Get a little bit crossed up coming out of the corner. This then is Mercury's attempt at a pole position of 3:45.326. Is Zen going to do any better? No, by 0.02 of a second. S. Berman was being pushed down the main straightaway by Camzilla. Didn't manage to get a faster time, nor did TD's. Chaotica has gone fastest though. Here comes Camzilla out of the corner. He has just had his record GT4 consecutive wins equalled, but not beaten by our champion Roux. More of that later on. Bonga is running 10th, Komakopa in 11th, hasn't crossed the line yet, is about to, with 8 minutes on the clock. This is the final lap for everybody. Komakopa goes 7th, 3 seconds off the lead of the race, but the fastest lap so far is lying with Nismo, a 3-minute 44.321. Check out that fuel gauge. We'll be talking about fuel later on. The drivers are not going to get 4 full throttle, full maximum attack laps out of a tank of fuel around here. That is what's going to be incredibly important for the drivers. I fully anticipate the drivers will spend as long as possible on the medium tyre today. They will be fuel limited rather than tyre limited thanks to this incredibly long Mulsanne straight. So we've got Nismo running roughly 4th on the grid. fourth on the track, I should say, at the moment. Looks like Mercury is out there first on the grid. He's about to come up on a timing sector before turning right here. Let's see what his timing sector tells us. Tells us it's a personal best, but he needs to find 1.3 seconds. Where is Nismo? Is he going any faster at this stage? Remember, 10 minutes of qualifying is all we get. So we ride with Nismo as he's about to click through the next timing beam. That is the fastest time so far, beating his own time, which is currently half a second faster than anybody else. Nismo is 0.05 of a second up on his best time, heading towards that Virage de Mulsanne as we arrive into the corner now, down through the gears, into second, into first, for a almost dead stop into that Mulsanne corner. Now we're powering back out again, and we have gained a further 0.05 of a second. You can actually see the Coca-Cola car in front getting closer to us. It tells you that Nismo is driving very well indeed. I wonder, I think he'll be too far away to pick up a tow here on the run towards, at the moment we're heading down towards Indianapolis, and the double right and sharp left of Indianapolis before heading into Arnage. Here we go. This is Indianapolis with the banking. Not really using the banking a great deal. Slight bit of oversteer on the exit, but he's still quicker than he's been before. Looks like that first few sectors was more what he was looking for. May have used the best of the most limited tyre. That's the rear left today. So we will see if that transpires into anything later on into this lap. But he'll be turning right in a moment here for the start of the Porsche curves, and that will probably be when that rear left starts to take effect. You can see the sliding, you can feel the switch down into the gears. It's not going to happen for Nismo. The door is open for the likes of Mercury to try and take this one. There you can see the evidence of that rear left tyre. The front left actually more limited on the AMG of Mercury right now. He's a bit tight on this final chicane. Coming on out of the corner, needs to find 1.3 seconds. Don't know if this lap has got it. It's not. He's slower still. Preston's still out there and still pushing. Let's see if we can't find Preston in P8. He's got a half-second penalty on the car, so I don't think it's going to happen for Preston either. Dan, we're just trying to find a driver still on an attack lap. This is Bongit. He also has a half-second penalty. He's 11 seconds off the pace. There are a number of different groups of pace in this GT3 series. Looks like Nismo is going to get it on the strength of that first lap alone. The driver's really running out of those soft tyres on this second flying lap. Looks like Bongit, though, don't know if he can do better than 14th. Across the line, personal best, but plus 0.5 of a second. I don't think that one is going to count. So it's going to be Nismo who takes us on the pole position with, as I say, one hand on the trophy. He needs really to DNF or score very, very lowly with Zen to outscore him and get the win today in order to try and steal this championship off Nismo. Looks like it's going to be the way of Nismo, but it's all about then the battles throughout the rest of the field. I hope everybody is looking forward to the race to come. We've got some special liveries. Doof tells me that safety car is going to be lap 11, which is very gratefully received from me. Thank you to Doof. I don't know that our safety car driver Sully is going to be too impressed having to wait till lap 11 of Le Mans to come out and then get his practice on for his GT3 race coming up on this channel straight after this one, with maybe a 2-minute quick break in between. Let's take you through qualifying results then for this season finale. It is a 3-minute 44.321 for Nismo, nearly 0.5 of a second ahead of Chaotica in second position. Good position there for Chaotica. Mercury deposed down to third after Chaotica's lap, with Zen in fourth. Zen needing the win today for any hope of this championship. Floody in fifth, with Berman in sixth. Izzy is in seventh, and Preston has eighth position on the grid in the Prestone-sponsored Corvette C7. Comacopa is in the 458 Italia for Special K. He's in ninth with Globas, also in the Prestone Corvette. Don't Need Time in the SpongeBob car in 11th, and T-Deeds Racing with Holidays Are Coming livery here for the Mercedes-AMG Team Coca-Cola in 12th. Camzilla is in 13th. Bongit is in 14th position, unfortunately rocking the traditional French colours. And Sully will be our safety car driver coming out on lap 11. So looking forward to this race. Hopefully those of you watching live with me can give me a podium prediction. But the final is starting, about to get underway for 1 hour around the Le Mans circuit. And hopefully we will have a special race here for you. Looking forward to seeing how this one goes. It's Nismo at the head in the Rexy green Huracan with the Special K with the purple nose on the Ferrari of Chaotica alongside him. It's drop the clutch and go from the start. It looks like a good, fairly equal looking start from the drivers, although it looks like Chaotica has got the nose ahead already. Nismo not getting too upset or excited about that at this stage. Might be a strategic call there from Nismo to be second down the Mulsanne straight, but Chaotica very late on the brakes. He's gone for the hard tyres early doors here to try and get them out of the way. The required tyres are hard and medium today. Chaotica running out of race room. Mercury's going to try and swoop around the outside here. No, Mercury getting into Chaotica as they block the track here for the following cars. Chaotica leads us from Mercury, and now Nismo with, it looks like we've got Zen behind him again for Team Spotify. Zen moving up 1, Nismo down 2. This is an interesting call here then for the drivers. This is Mercury pushing Chaotica already down the Mulsanne straight, and we're looking for those slipstream opportunities. Mercury will be bump drafting that Ferrari. It's not really interested in pulling alongside, as we'll be trying to top 180 miles an hour down this straightaway, with Nismo catching in the background. The Rexy teeth are chomping as we get closer and closer to our rivals here, and we go 1, 2, 3, Chaotica, Mercury, Nismo chained together down the Mulsanne straight. Mercury's going to hope that that Chaotica picks a good braking zone. Nismo has pulled alongside Mercury to go side by side instead of line astern, and the helicopter waits usually at the second chicane, but we are going straight on past that chicane. Look for stints of only 3 laps apiece here for the drivers, as they will be running low on fuel all day long. It is Mercury leading us. It is Mercury in second place, excuse me. Nismo having a little look down the inside on the way down into the big stop after such a long braking an acceleration zone. Nismo tucking in neatly on the inside. That's Preston who got himself out of shape coming out of the corner. I think that was Preston. Let me just get that confirmation for you. There he is in the Cadillac, almost collected by the fender there of Sully coming through the corner. So back up to the lead of the race. Chaotica holds it by 0.5 of a second. I think we are on for a slip-streaming special here today between our top drivers. Nismo is going to have to work for it. So Doof saying, Doof, or Sully is saying he's got a presentation to work on, so we may just do that instead of watching the race. So we'll see if we get any safety car driver errors today as a result. Mercury then following in the wheel tracks of Chaotica. Looks like Glovas with the black-nosed Corvette today chasing down Nismo, and got a better run out of our Arnage corner and heading towards the Porsche curves we go. And it looks like Glovas has moved up in the order, up to 3rd position. Zen, though, has not been able to hold the position he was in before. That's Glovas running super wide out on the Porsche curve gravel area, so that didn't last very long. Zen comes through in 5th position. He's got Berman between himself and championship leading teammate Nismo, but Mercury has stolen a march here on Chaotica, heading on through the corner as we were watching Glovas head into the pit, into the gravel. We've got Chaotica giving up the lead of the race, and he's gone for a bit of a winter scene on the car. We'll, like I say, during the safety car, we will probably have a really good close look at all of these liveries. But Chaotica then running out of the final corner. He's lost the lead, but he's still very much in the fight here for the podium. It's Nismo in 3rd, Berman in 4th, Zen followed by Floody, Komakopa in 7th, Izzy in 8th, Camzilla in 9th. Bongit is in 10th place with Don't Need Time in the SpongeBob car in 11th. T-Deeds in 12th. then Glovas recovering in 13th position. Preston down at the back. It's Glovas and Preston taking that newly sponsored Chevy right to the back of the grid, unfortunately, at this early stage of the race. But there is the pace car to come, so we will see drivers brought together once again. Mercury extending his lead by almost a second. Sadly, I don't think that's going to be enough to manage to gap the drivers on the following through here, especially if Nismo is smart about this, and I'm sure he will be, and he will then do a bump draft to try and bring himself and Chaotica forward and start to catch Mercury. Here he goes then. No, Nismo is going to the going to the right. He thinks he's got enough in terms of a gap to try and catch Mercury and pick up the toe here from Mercury. Chaotica, they might be leapfrogging the draft here. There is so much time available to them. Here we go. Chaotica getting close, and that's a bump draft coming as the gap is now dropping. See it drop there by 1/10 of a second, thanks to that bump draft from Chaotica behind. There goes another one, and we get closer and closer. Fantastic views of the tactics that the drivers are deploying here as they head down that long Mulsanne straightaway before they will then find the big stop. Floody is chasing down Komakopa. Floody in the Puma Porsche with the Gulf colour scheme, following the chrome-nosed and French tricolor liveried Team Special K. I don't know if Floody is going to go for it, but he's got a half-second penalty on the car already. Let's go back up towards the lead to see if there's any changes in that order. S. Berman is right with the group here in the low and wide Mazda, but Nismo leads Mercury and Chaotica. But Nismo's gap now down to just less than half a second. We have 53 minutes on the clock. I really enjoyed a quick practice run prior to this today, just to check out the tyre usage and the fuel usage for the drivers. They won't worry about these hard tyres at all. I don't think they will really worry about the medium tyres. Their sole focus is going to be whether they can get a fourth racing lap out of the fuel tank each way through. Nismo out on the gravel, unfortunately for him, is going to lose the position. Let's have a look at that once again on chasing Nismo here. This is the right-hander on the lead in towards Indianapolis. He already was squirreling around on the brakes, missed the apex, and then it is so annoying to just watch the drivers come on past you there on the way through. So Nismo giving up the lead of the race once again. Mercury now retaking that lead, and on the way into the Porsche curvers. I wonder if anyone is going to get this wrong as they did on the previous laps. It is a fiendishly difficult circuit. There is Zen in the Lamborghini Huracan, looking curvier than usual with the choice of livery today. Usually a very wedge-shaped Lamborghini Huracan, but those circles of the yellow submarine very much flattering the angles, you would say here. Chaotica having a sniff at a possible look into the Ford chicane here as we head up to finish out lap 2. Look at the fuel tanks here, almost half a tank, so I think the drivers are preserving a little bit of fuel here. Certainly Chaotica, but of course it was a standing start for that first lap, so potentially they will get 4 laps out of their first stint, and then it will be 3 lap stints thereon afterwards. The safety car, the normal safety car, no pit stop ban, or closure of the pit lane, I should say, has been rescinded for this round, thanks to the length of that pit lane, as we did with, of course, Nürburgring last season. But Nismo now picking up a half-second penalty, and he's going to wear that all the way down towards the Porsche curves before he will have to pay that one off. We'll see if Chaotica decides to go through. Nismo is putting in a fastest first sector at this stage as the hard tyres now really start to grip in. Just under half a tank of fuel on the Lamborghini, but the Mercedes has used a fair amount more fuel here. We will see what 3 and 4 lap stints end up looking like here for the drivers. This is Chaotica on board with him as he chases down Nismo. Is he interested in making a pass or going for that bump draft once again? It is the bump draft, so he just lends a few horses to the raging bull of the Lamborghini in front. From Nismo's perspective, here it comes again, I think, from Chaotica. I think that front bumper or that splitter is going to look somewhat second-hand by the end of this race if he's going to be deploying this tactic the whole time through. but then Mercury leads us by 1.1 seconds. So really, Chaotica has to do this bump drafting. It's slightly risky, but he has to do this to try and stay in touch with the leader at this time. Remember, Nismo going for the championship here. His only real threat is from Zen, teammate, and there is quite an alarming gap as S. Berman uses takes advantage of the double toe there. S. Berman rocking 183 miles an hour for a moment before turning right here, and Nismo has got that very wrong indeed. Nerfs into S. Berman. I would be surprised if Chaotica, well, maybe it was Chaotica. By the look of things, that looks like maybe Chaotica did the damage here. Let's ride on board. I think it might have been a bit of pinballing. Yeah, 1-2. A two-punch from Chaotica. That's why he slowed, to make sure that Nismo could recover. Now watch for the driver coming through. It's Zen who will take that all day long with a big thank you. And Zen up to third position then, and is back in the hunt. So it was all about Chaotica misjudging that braking zone. Maybe he's bent that front splitter, and that's what's happened to him. So we will see as Nismo then is starting to hassle his teammate Zen, and they've got to start working together if they want to not lose track of the leader here. They'll be tracking their own fuel usage. They need to keep it above the 1/4 tank, maybe slightly more than just above the 1/4 tank position as they start lap 4. But I expect to see Mercury coming in on this lap, because he will not be able to get that car through an extra lap. Neither will S. Berman, but it looks like the Lamborghinis and possibly the Ferrari are going to manage to make that a 4-lap first stint, as Nismo's up against the wall and pushing incredibly hard, losing aerodynamics thanks to following in the wheel tracks. Let's ride on board with Nismo as we turn left here. Now, you stealing a little bit of speed here, but look at this for commitment. I would love to know how close he got there in inches to the wall. It looked like maybe just a handful. S. Berman into the pits, as is Mercury. These three will, having taken the first few laps a little bit easier, these three will take us into a new podium contenders. And will that prove to be a very, very crucial extra lap that they are able to squeeze out of their tanks at this start? Now, Zen is in the lead, will pick up no real fuel advantage in following any other cars here, but neither is he suffering any aerodynamic damage thanks to following a car through the fast corners as they head towards Terre Rouge here for the 4th flying time tonight. We've got Chaotica running in 2nd position, and now it's Nismo's turn to try and find a way through. Nismo didn't seem to want to play with the bump draft on the previous lap. Let's get on board with Chaotica and see what Nismo wants to do, as the threatening and very, very effective livery of Nismo gets closer and closer. Will he go for an easy run here? No, that's a definite bump draft. How fast can we end up riding with Chaotica? 176. We still haven't reached VMAX yet, so if we top 180, the bump draft is helping a huge amount. Actually, we're hitting quite hard here. We're now at 180. Will we get another bite of bump coming? Yes, indeed, as Rexy munches away at the rear fender here of Chaotica's car, as we drop down below 180 again, and we head towards the right-hand kink of Hunandier corner. There you go, up to 183. There are easier ways of doing it, but we are catching Zen beautifully and picking up our own toe now on board with Chaotica. Nismo is going to have a little look now. Will there be an opportunity down into the next corner? He'll be nervous braking. He manages to do the overlap there with the slipstream pass. Down we go through the gears, down to 2nd, possibly 1st gear for the drivers coming out of the right-hander of Mulsanne at the end of the straightaway, and it's the fastest lap so far for Chaotica, despite losing a position thanks to that bump draft assistance from the front of the field. Komakopa is currently in 4th at the moment. Komakopa is following these guys and has not pitted either himself. Nismo now going for the lead of the race before they get into the pit lane. Doesn't want to take the risk of having to double stack here. Of course, that's not usually the case at Gran Turismo, even if they are in the same team. That was Zen getting Indianapolis wrong. So Zen leaving the door open. Will he close it off at the apex on the right-hander into Arnage? Absolutely he will. Compromises this run, but it's a narrow, slow corner, so he can own that portion of the racetrack. And we'll have another little short squirt before we get into the Porsche curves as we head with 45 minutes on the clock. Zen, Nismo, Chaotica, your leaders, and I wonder how much faster they are going on this lap on fumes versus the drivers who will have put at least 3/4 of a tank of fuel into the car. We'll have a look at that momentarily, but I expect, of course, all three of these drivers will go in. I can see that Komakopa Floody will probably be heading in as well. Zen holds on, though, through the Porsche curves, through the S's ducating. This is where Nismo came very close to the wall before in this sector. No problem this time, and heading down into the pit lane. I have seen drivers in Gran Turismo hit that pit lane so hard they teleport through the wall. So you do have to get onto the brakes into the next few corners, and that then in we go. And Zen, Nismo, Chaotica pit in that order. In comes Komakopa as well. Floody will follow him. Don't need time through. Izzy next, and then S. Berman, who I think will have probably brimmed the tank given his fuel usage earlier on, will take the lead of the race. And he's got a decent gap here as S. Berman, but we will see if his lap times have been good enough on his outlap. There's a good chance they aren't good enough. He's actually put new hard tyres on here. Mercury using the racing medium, so Berman might not have started on those hard tyres, but it's helped him so far running through this stint. Maybe he feels that the consistency over a stint is better, but they are passing and have passed Zen, Nismo, and who else have they passed? It will be Chaotica, who now come out of the pits down in 4th, 5th and 6th. So that earlier pit stop has helped the drivers so far in the lead of the race. We've got Izzy out there, who has not pitted yet in the Porsche. He has conserved fuel like an absolute boss here. I wonder if he's deliberately trimming down the number of pit stops that he has to make. That is S. Berman with the fastest sector for Team Zin in the Mazda, and driving a great race so far is S. Berman. Let's ride on board then, shall we, with Mercury for a moment, as we see if we can get that tow going. Remember, we're looking for 180 miles an hour or higher to try and take advantage of that tow. Of course, picking it up even in the acceleration phase here before we reach top speed. So running nicely. This is over second place at the moment because Izzy has yet to pit in the Puma Porsche. So there we go, 181. We'll get up to 182 miles an hour as we run down the long Mulsanne straight. Didn't quite top 183. We have now got to 183 and catching S. Berman. So we will see if that will be a pass coming. That is Mercury just drifting out to the wide, but as soon as he does that, his front nose will take the full force of the top speed, and then suddenly it becomes reversed then as S. Berman gets to pick up the tow behind him and try and repass before they get in towards the braking zone, but can't quite do it. So Zen leads Nismo and Chaotica, the former leaders of the race, by quite a big gap actually. Zen has lost 10 seconds to Berman and Mercury, who'd stopped that lap earlier. Bongit up to 7th place and has half a tank of fuel remaining. Glovas in 8th, and then we've got Floody versus Komakopa at the moment down there, with Floody with a full tank of fuel and medium tyres. Komakopa likewise. And these drivers are fighting over the lower positions. Remember, don't need time trying to avoid heading into the playoffs up against the 2nd, 3rd and I think 4th position drivers in the GT3. This is Camzilla in the GT4, sorry. This is Camzilla in 14th position, having put on newish mediums and some way to go yet before we get that safety car. Mercury has caught Izzy, who I think is running a bit of a conservative, rich fuel mix run here today, Izzy, in the VR system. So I think trying to squeeze extra laps and fewer pit stops out of the race today, going for a slow first stint, and certainly later. This is lap 5 without a pit stop. So he has been doing a great job here, probably short shifting, running a gear higher through the corners than he would normally, taking it very easy on the tyres, and he's hoping that would save him a pit stop later on. But remember that gap then for Jann, 8.3 seconds to just Izzy. It's more like 10 up to the lead, which is Mercury at the moment, but they have a lap in hand when it comes to the next round of pit stops. We're looking for lap 11 for the safety car. It is only lap 5, closing out lap 5 now. And then you can see Mercury and S. Berman through. Izzy pits, so that promotes our trio who were fighting over the lead. That promotes them up to 3rd, 4th and 5th. Jann, Nismo and Chaotica in that order. Nismo happy at the moment to stay with Jann and just keep an eye on him, I think. Let's have a look further down the order where things are getting quite busy. We currently have Glovas in 7th. We have Komakopa in 8th with Floody. And then followed by Don't Need Time as well. This is Komakopa driving the Special K Ferrari. Floody trying to go the long way around the outside into the Corba Dunlop as we head down towards Tertre Rouge. Very important corner for Tertre Rouge, of course, and so easy to get wrong, so easy to miss those track limit lines. This circuit, and it takes an age for the game to actually tell you when you have transgressed those that you think you're safe, and then you absolutely are not. Well, Don't Need Time had a great run. Floody struggling through Tertre Rouge. Meanwhile, behind them we've got T Deeds and Preston chasing down now for that 11th position. Preston all over the back of T Deeds. There they are. Couldn't be much closer as a bump draft happens. We get a really good close-up of the Holidays Are Coming Team Coca-Cola livery today. We'll talk about liveries soon, but Preston's gone for a very dark black-nosed option on the car. Floody and Don't Need Time running side by side. That should provide a nice wedge of air for the following two cars, Don't Need Time and T Deeds to follow in. There they come, up behind, and now we've got 4 drivers all in the space of a couple of yards on the circuit here, heading down in towards Mulsanne corner. We go. Looks like Preston struggling. T Deeds moving forward. Floody moving around in that group as Komakopa, but it's actually Glovas who has managed to put a bit of a gap on this group, who are squabbling around in amongst themselves. This is Mulsanne corner then. So back up towards the front end of the grid. Bonget's on his own in the Renault at the moment, running with a quarter of a tank of fuel left. I think that's too little to run for an extra lap, so he'll be coming in shortly. We've got Chaotica then in 5th place, letting the raging balls of the Lamborghinis get away from them as Nismo continues to follow Jann, and they allow Mercury and S. Berman some breathing room up front of 9.1 seconds. I'm really surprised to see them out for so long. I wonder if Jann and Nismo running around low fuel but low in grip on the hard tyres at the end of their stint, it hasn't actually brought them the kind of pace and time in hand that they were hoping it would, running that 4th start, first stint lap before the pit stops. So Nismo through, personal best through the Porsche curves. Mercury leads Berman still by 1.6 seconds through here, but this is the teammate battle. This is also the championship battle, as Nismo just needs to hold on here. But many a time drivers have got themselves involved in track battles when their championship is almost secure. So driving either under threat of leading the championship with it all to lose, or having to rein in your usual ambitions to do better and move up the grid. That is Mercury and Berman in the pits with Bonget as well. So now this battle becomes the battle for the lead of the race once again, with 36 minutes on the clock. It's lap 7. The drivers will be hoping to survive here for another few laps. We've got the pace car coming out on lap 11. We know when that will be, as Sully is sitting in the safety car waiting to come on out. and hopefully not missing his opportunity. He says he's needing to write a presentation at the moment, so hopefully he's not going to miss his cue. Nismo in that second position, the sole Dutchman in the field, leading, and in the rest of the field of North Americans here, and doing a fantastic job. As Nismo then munching away at that rear diffuser of his teammate. It's in their interest to make this a 2-horse or 2-bull race, of course. And they're still going faster now. Of course, this stint on the medium tyres as the fuel burns off. Again, I think it's unlikely that they will stretch an extra lap out of this stint. I think it's going to go 4-3-3-3-3 for these guys. But we will see just how many pit stops, or how few pit stops, the drivers can make. So there is a matter of a few hundredths of a second between these guys at the moment, which is great to see. Nismo pulling alongside, indicating that he might be willing to take a turn in the lead. It serves him, though, to sit in second position, as long as Zen doesn't make a terrible mistake. And of course, even if Zen does make a mistake, it's still advantage Nismo. So Nismo holding all the cards at the moment there in second position. No threat from behind at this stage. And we should probably see where the rest of the drivers are as they head towards the Porsche curves. I don't anticipate any major problems coming for the drivers, but Chaotica in third. We've got Comacopa in fourth, now back in sequence with the pit stops. Floody has a half-second penalty to pay in a moment's time. In fifth, with Don't Need Time in sixth. Then Mercury and Berman are seventh and eighth, currently running 32 seconds away from the lead of the race. But of course, that's the time it takes to make a pit stop, plus a few, in this slow, long pit lane here at Le Mans, and of course refueling the whole time. This is Nismo then coming on through Arnage corner. They've dealt with Indianapolis, and guess which corners are coming up next? There's a big clue on the middle of your screen. It's Chaotica then running in third position, hoping to try and latch on to the back here of these two. But if they continue to play as nicely as they have done, I think Chaotica, unfortunately, is just going to drift backwards. They need better stints, though, than they managed in the first stint, because, of course, they ended up losing the lead by nearly 9 seconds to Mercury and Berman earlier on with the changeover onto new tyres. So, medium tyres for the Lamborghinis at this time. Let's run and see what's happening as they head towards the pit lane. Looks like the sun has gone in. We may not get full sunset today, but definitely light conditions have changed, and into the pit lane we come. So let's see what happens with Chaotica. He is able to run an extra lap, is Chaotica. So he's going to go on through. And they're just 1/4 of a tank, so it's going to be a bit of a crawling lap here, I fear, for Chaotica. He's going to have to short shift. Look at that short shift coming. Watch the rev counter. He's getting to about half the rev limit, and then he's changing up. And probably going to run long gears on the way through the corners. Comacopa's gone through as well, so has Don't Need Time, but they have a little bit of additional fuel on board. So Comacopa with just over 1/4 of a tank. This is the pit stops coming from the drivers. That's Mercury then in fifth place, going to retake positions away from Zen and Nismo, as I think is S. Berman, currently in sixth place. So we look to see where the drivers are coming out. Zen ahead of Nismo, who fueled to an absolute maximum, brim the tank here, try and make an extra lap, but I think they're just not able to continue on too much greater. It is Izzy for Puma Porsche in P9, with Bonget the Canadian just behind him in the Renault. Racing at home here, the Renault should have a few extra dials of power, a little bit richer mix from Elf, perhaps. Maybe allowed to run a few extra RPMs to try and secure a home positive result for the sponsors. Car number 80, Bonget, running in the French liveried Renault colours. Of course, no Alpine for them, but Renault a much better racing heritage than Alpine, you have to say. Globas is out in 11th position, and trying to catch a tow really from the back of these drivers. It's 2.4 seconds back. Preston, who is Glower's teammate, is ahead of T Deeds at the moment. Now you can see it's Prestone that are sponsoring the team at the moment. Got a nice Webbo.com sticker on there as well. And there is T Deeds. We've got Camzilla in 14th position, last at the moment. So S. Berman in second. Camzilla for Team Zin are down in 14th position, second and 14th for the Mazda runners. This is Komakopa. Well, I say S. Berman in second, but he's actually in 6th at the moment because of the pit stop sequencing. Chaotica leads us in the Ferrari. Teammate Komakopa running in just in 2nd place right now. So Chaotica running low on fuel as he heads out of Arnage. He's already into the red here. I think he may struggle. Look at the short shifts happening. So doing what he can here at least. This is Chaotica then with a rather milky look at a Team Special K livery today. Sully waiting in the pits for his star turn. Can Chaotica avoid the low fuel mode? Try and keep the momentum through the corners. Use the accelerator only when you absolutely have to. Try and just drift the car through, and I might pick up a penalty going outside there, but I think he let off the accelerator. No, he did get a penalty going through the S3 karting and into the pits. I think he's just going to make it into the pits before low fuel mode hits. Komakopa likewise, although with a little bit of additional fuel on board. We have got Floody in 3rd. He will be headed towards the pit lane as well. He can't get round on that little amount of fuel left in the tank. So Floody for Puma Porsche. Don't need time in for the Renault team. Mercury then about to retake the net lead of the race here. So 4th position. Watch that come down as the Coca-Cola Vitamin Water edition of the special liveries takes him into 1st position at the moment, and with a good lead at the moment, you have to say, over the likes of Zen and Nismo. That lead is still 9.4 seconds, but have Zen and Nismo managed to save a pit stop over Mercury and Berman? Big question for later in the race. It will only become apparent on the last run of the pit stops. So we will see as Nismo continues to follow Zen through. So is that Chaotica out of the pits now? He's actually picked up a half-second penalty. That's not likely to be a pit lane infringement. That's just getting over the exit of the S2 karting previously, and he's got to run them with that penalty on the car all the way round to the exit between Arnage and the Porsche curves. We've got, looks like it could rain from Kuros Kai. We'll keep an eye on that. It does look that way. It would be a big surprise if we get the rain at this point. I wasn't expecting any, but you're right. It is looking misty between the trees. So Mercury leads us. This is Bongett, our Canadian, with the rest of American drivers in the field. Glover 7th, Izzy running in 8th. Then we've got Preston still ahead. Well, Komakopa is just behind him on fresh tyres with a full tank of fuel. This is Komakopa then, up close and very personal with the chrome-nosed Special K with the French flag on the back as well, as T Leeds comes through in the holiday special, the Coca-Cola car, past that first chicane location that we're not using. Floody in 12th, don't need time, running 13th position. Sully will be keeping an eye on the race, keeping one eye on the race, maybe one ear on the race as well. Just don't need time. Closes and does hit Floody pretty hard running through there. Camzilla, all cars on the same straightaway, and I think nobody actually running out. Where is Sully at the moment? Still up on the jacks, still waiting, doing his presentation in the cockpit. Well, look, Berman has closed in on Mercury through this stint at the moment, and that gap is now down to 0.4 of a second. That was about 1.5 seconds at its most earlier on. So looking pretty good. Rain could absolutely throw everybody's strategy out the window, and it would be a bit of a roll of the dice, and it's a long lap to guess wrong on the time to change to intermediate tyres or even full wets. It is a very long, very dangerous run on these public roads of Le Mans, with the exception of the final and first sectors. It is permanent, it is a temporary country lane track here. So lap 9, safety car coming out lap 11. Looks like Mercury and S. Berman headed towards the pit lane again at the end of this lap. I wonder if Zen and Nismo can extend to that lap 11 and get almost a free pit stop, or at least a pit stop while everyone's running at pace car speed. This is them now vying over who gets into the pit lane first. Berman decided not to launch an attack, but heavy braking down into the pit lane, as Zen and Nismo will of course go through. They have half a tank of fuel left. Well, Zen's got slightly less than half a tank of fuel, but if they can come in at the end of lap 11, then they will, even if they run on low fuel for the final sector even, they will still probably profit out of that one. So Zen and Nismo take the lead of the race. Mercury and Berman get passed also by Chaotica, completely on his own, Chaotica in the Ferrari. And on the same stint, no, actually slightly different stint, slightly more fuel on board the Ferrari here. So he can probably comfortably run to the end of lap 11 with full pace. Izzy passes Mercury and Berman in the pits, so does Komakopa. And we wait to see if they drop even further behind. This is Mercury coming out of the pits, as behind him comes the Mazda with Don't Need Time hot on their heels and up to racing speed and temperatures. Well, Don't Need Time, well, he's squeezed between the two of them. Don't Need Time getting a little bit excited heading into the Dunlop curves, and struggling now with 23.5 minutes on the clock. One more pit stop will probably do for everybody. Mercury has gone for the soft tyres here. Berman out on the hard tyres. So Mercury only wants to do 2 laps on the softs. Maybe, yeah, 2 fast laps, then come in. Berman is planning to run under the safety car, I think, or at least just get the hard tyres out of the way. Floody has managed to pounce on Don't Need Time here. Well, Don't Need Time sort of made a bit of a mess of that first sector, splitting the 2 drivers who came out of the pit lane in front of them. But it looks like Floody is struggling with top speed at the moment, or at least getting to top speed as quickly as the Renault in front, which does seem a little bit OP, that Renault in the game, especially considering its terrible aerodynamic shape. And the Porsche running close behind now, and the speed building down the Mulsanne straight. They'll be picking up a very distant tow from Berman in front. Berman is 1.3 seconds in front of these two, as Floody gets very, very close to the back of the Renault. This isn't a great place to do any bump drafting, so I think Floody will probably hold station here. I think most drivers will pit on the safety car lap 11 if they can, which of course nullifies the point of the safety car to a certain extent, saving pit stops for people, but everyone still on the lead lap naturally. Up at the front, Nismo will now have an opportunity to pass Zen, because Zen has picked up a half-second penalty and it's about to take effect there under the yellow chevrons. So Nismo takes the lead of the race for the first time since the first few yards of this race. Nismo back in command here, can extend a gap a little bit, but I don't think by enough for Zen to actually lose out on that slipstream. So half a second is the new gap. That's a personal best for... What? Zen gets a personal best while taking a penalty in that mini sector. That's a very strange course of events, as Nismo has gone wrong now. That could be decisive. That could cost way more than the penalty that that Zen took place. You can see Nismo just moving around a little bit, lost the car out on the marbles, and then it just one problem builds to another. There is one way through those corners, unfortunately, and Nismo not finding it that time out. So the end of lap 10 comes upon us. The drivers coming in, Zen and Nismo, for this one, as we wait to see. There is Sully out of the pit lane, waiting to pick up what will possibly be the new leaders of the race. This is Chaotica passing the pit lane with just under half a tank of fuel left. He will have one fast lap, I think, left in him before the drivers get the green flag at the end of lap 11. That is the start of lap 11 for Comacopa, who goes into second position. Who else has pitted? Nearly everybody. Mercury and Berman have decided not to pit. Now that is a surprise to me for Mercury, because I thought he was just going to get rid of those soft tyres really early. He doesn't have to use the soft tyres, remember, but he'll be trying to then use them as little as possible, get one flying lap out of them after the safety car. Come in at the end of lap 12. That will leave us possibly with a stint remaining. That's his calculation. He wants to make one more pit stop if he can after the safety car. That will be true of everybody. So he is in P3 on the soft tyres. He would love to get ahead of Comacopa and Chaotica. So let's have a proper look then at these fantastic liveries. I've got some notes that I can thank Larry for on these. This is a blueberry and winter. Well, I was going to say winter, but it's blueberry and strawberry and True Moo. It's a bit milky, says Larry, and that is with reference to milk makes him tooty and hopes it will make him go faster for Chaotica. This is Comacopa's livery. We're used to this. Comacopa, Larry says, Comacopa is so French, he grew up right on the Le Mans track. His parents still live there to this day. This is the Special K livery as enforced by his Team Czar Chaotica, but of course he has got the French tricolour on the rear of the car as well. It's great to see. Mercury, well, we've seen this before. It's just a shill for his corporate sponsors, you have to say, here. So no change from Mercury with the livery. And then, of course, with S. Berman and the Team Zin, Larry said that Camzilla described the livery. It felt like he was listening to a new coming of J.D. Salinger when he said, same as last week. And then with a very emotional message to say it was Zin. So that's those ones. Apparently I was going to be accused of having to hand in my British card if I didn't recognise the Beatles' Yellow Submarine album here. I mean, it wasn't difficult, I have to say. You can challenge me with my Britishness in future, but this one no challenge at all. But thanks to thanks to Zen for doing this one. Yes, the Beatles' Yellow Submarine album. Nismo we've seen plenty of, Rexy, and I think it's just because he's on a hot streak he doesn't want to give up this one. Preston and Glovas racing yellow nose and black nose respectively. Preston with the new sponsor Prestone here on the side of the car. Oh, there's a team on the flag there. There's a team insignia on the end plate of the car. Now, I don't know why, but I want to say it's that Man City out there, but you'll have to fill me in later on. Prestone being the team sponsor. T. Deeds, Coca-Cola of course, but has gone a little bit more festive than his teammate, and you can see some extra sponsors on the car as well. I do miss seeing the roofs up close here, but I'm not seeing the Webbo stickers today from T. Deeds, but there you go, very nice and festive with Santa on the car. Once again, Floody in the Puma Porsche. We're well used to this one now. It's a great take on a classic colour scheme. Yeah, Izzy less so. I've got to say, I'm not a fan of that purple. So take that purple off for me. But I think that's the Colombian flag as well for Izzy on the tail. SpongeBob and the bikini bottom scene here for Don't Need Time. Again, keeping that livery running. And then, of course, the... well, I did say Elf earlier, didn't I? But it's Castrol GTX Renault Sport RS01 standard livery, but of course with a French feel here for Bonkert. Globas, same take on the livery, but with a black nose instead of a yellow on the Chevy. Good Chevy racing colours. And then Camzilla once again with those Zin colours that we are used to seeing now. The Zin team have been steadfast in holding on to their design this season. They have not really gone for any special liveries, and I'd love to say it was working for them. Back then to the safety car, as driven of course by Sully today. He has one star turn, one job today, and that is to run this safety car at I do wonder whether we ought to have built the speed down the Mulsanne straight a little bit over the 70 miles an hour, but he is speed limited, and he's got the cop car overrunners on the front there, just in case anybody gets the idea in their head to overtake. He can take care of business. Needs them on the back as well, really. Some spikes on the back, I think, to dissuade drivers from giving him the hurry up. But we're about to finish this safety car lap with 14 minutes on the clock. Most drivers will have one further pit stop to make. One lap will be one lap for about half the field, I estimate. Chaotica, Copa. With Mercury, will re-inherit the lead, I feel fairly certain, and we'll get 1 or 2 laps left out of this one. I think Mercury 1 lap on the softs. Berman could be winning an interesting shout here of getting a further 2 laps on those hard tyres that have been used. Then we will see later into the stint Zen and Nismo running the medium tyre to a finish, I want to say. They're going to try for a 4-lap stint at the end of this race. So that is going to be a thirsty run towards the end, sipping the fuel. We've got Preston, who again will probably run 1 more or 2 more hot laps before a final pit stop for soft tyres, I imagine. And then it will be a bit of a mix-up for the rest of the field as we run through. So many of our drivers, at least half I would say, still with 1 pit stop left to make. Some of them will be trying to make this reach the finish from where they stand right now, but it may take a little bit of lifting and coasting and even more effort. Mercury pits at the end of the safety car lap. That is a surprise for me. Didn't feel like he could get 1 more lap out of there, so he will pit now, and the green flag will be given to Chaotica. That looked like Copa closing up quite considerably, but the green flag only on the line, and we go racing once again then with just under 13 minutes on the clock here. That is a clear and away going to be 3 further laps. It's going to be 4 further laps for the leaders before we finish this, as Chaotica gets that early slow start out of the way and starts to put a bit of a gap here on Copa. Would love to get away here, Chaotica, from his teammate and let his teammate play rear gunner for the rest of the grid. Berman is in 3rd, might be on with a good performance at the end of the race on soft tyres, potentially. He will drop down to near to dead last, though stopping soon enough, I imagine, unless he's going to sip the fuel all the way to a finish. Zen and Nismo are running line astern once again. Zen with a gap, though, of 1.1 seconds. Nismo won't be too worried about that at this time, but Preston zooming past Nismo as if Nismo just missed a gear. But Preston getting a great run there with the miles per hour max and the torque out of that Chevy, managing to fly by the chicane there. But chicane still is reserved for that, and the cars go past very quickly. But that gap suddenly from Preston to Nismo out to half a second, and Zen looking to try and find a way to catch Zen if at all possible. The front runners though, Chaotica, Copa, Berman and Zen. Zen could really do himself a lot of favours here by running in the slipstream of the drivers in front and running, and there you can see he's just hovering off the bulkhead on his accelerator pedal, his gas pedal, is Zen, just to try and ease off, and that was a big lift and coast as well as he goes round the outside through Mulsanne against Berman. But quite happy, I think, Zen to run in the wheel tracks here. And there you can see just easing off the throttle, letting Berman through, but not losing too much in the way of top speed as Chaotica leads us, but will be coming into the pits for his final pit stop and will be able to sprint to a finish, whereas some drivers will be going a lot slower. Saw a little bit of dirt kicked up at the back of the corner, at the back of the angles there, potentially from Nismo. Let's just see if Nismo went off circuit. This was just after Floody got by, so I think Nismo is doing his level best here to get out of everybody's way and have enough fuel to run for the rest of the race. Nismo just playing around with his run here. Let's go back towards the front of the grid as Chaotica is chased by Comacopa. The Ferraris are leading Le Mans at the moment. Berman in third position with Preston fully alongside Zen. Preston not too worried about saving fuel at this stage. Berman may be going for an extra lap after this one. In fact, I think he probably is, and then may do a quick splash and dash, strap on a set of softs for one final flying lap here for him. As we run through, it's Chaotica then, I imagine, going to be headed towards the pit lane. And this is the screaming Mazda of Berman, and there are the top two going in, and then Preston going in as well, and that brings Berman back to the lead of the race now. And looking very good on this at the moment is the Mazda. Zen is 1 second away only, and Floody is in third place, so some of those final pit stops are taking place now. I think we will have one more, end of this lap will be the final stops. I think Zen might be giving up the idea of getting this car home. Let's see on this lap, because he's under 3/4 of a tank and he needs to be at that 3/4 point to run a 4-lap stint. So we'll see as he then tries to once again get into the slipstream of Berman, who is now 1.2 seconds away. But Zen is trying to run this one. Nismo is saving fuel down in 7th, I have to say. Obviously he'll still be moving around with a lot of traffic, but driving standards very, very high here at Deviant Racing, so I would be surprised if Nismo comes into trouble. But of course he's putting himself in a slightly riskier position. That's a big bang from the back from Floody. He's not shy about giving over these bump drafts for Zen. He is helping him close the gap, but Zen has his foot pinned to pedal to the metal here on his right foot. He was just feathering that slightly so as not to use full fuel earlier on. I think he needs it to try and catch Berman at the moment, but constant game of guessing going on for Zen in the cockpit. Try and get this car home before he runs out of fuel without having to stop again. Keeping an eye on Nismo. Does he extend the gap so that if he does hit low fuel, Nismo has a while to catch him? There was Nismo in the green at the back of this group, down in 7th position. There is Zen just hovering off the full throttle trace, probably 97% throttle, and closing to within 0.7 of a second now of Berman. Floody is in third behind this group. Also will pit again, no doubt in my mind about that one, with 7 minutes on the clock. That is a further 3 laps for the drivers. Well, what's Nismo's fuel use looking like? He is just over half a tank, so Zen, just let's monitor that fuel usage for Nismo, and Zen is not too far distant, so whatever trouble is going to hit Zen is likely to hit Nismo as well on that final lap with the fuel. Floody just transgressed track limits there, was too late on the brakes, and Globas comes on through. Let's have a look at that action once again then. This is on board with Globas. Floody having a half-hearted look down the inside, had to kind of bail on the move. He was not quicker going through, but unfortunately that was the strict race stewards here in France taking that extra gap away from and applying the penalty to Floody down in that 4th position. I think Berman might be headed towards pit lane as he finishes with the Porsche curves, heads into the S Ducati. Let's have a look at S Berman then. Here he comes out of the karting S's, past the Maison Blanche, the White House, on the right, and low on fuel, so into the pits for Berman. Zen will go through. We will see Glovas in. We will not see Floody come in. And then we will see lots of cars go past the pit lane on about half a tank or just less than half a tank. Nismo right on the money here to finish perfectly. But how is Zen also having saved an awful lot of fuel? And that gap between Zen and Floody is real, I think, right now. So that gap that's between Zen and Nismo is a real gap of 4.2 seconds. So Nismo not doing everything he needs to take the win today, but certainly doing enough to take the W of the championship at the end of proceedings, where then we have Mercury down in 8th position, out on those soft tyres. So he's just running softs and softs at the moment. He pitted under the safety car just before the green flag. So Mercury fitted new softs. I'm not sure on that strategy. I'm going to need some explanation for Mercury post-race on that one, because I thought if he was going to pit then, he was going to be set for a finish, but maybe feeling like the Mercedes, there was no chance he was ever going to get the gap down. So his gap now to the leader is 24 seconds. That gap is, well, I was going to say it's a real gap to leader Zen, because they have equal pit stops left to make, but actually Mercury has to make a further pit stop, by my calculations anyway, to a finish, unless he's hoping that he will be able to get this home. Let me see, surely he can't get 2 more laps out of this, because he will run 2 further laps to the finish of this race. Floody is in 2nd place, has that penalty still, but is being followed closely by Izzy, who also has an equal penalty, and Nismo in 4th place. So Nismo should get both of these drivers now. The 2 Porsches won't get home on the fuel that they were on. No. Well, they did run quite long. Izzy ran longer than anybody in the first stint, so maybe those Porsches can do it. Just trying to just stop Nismo from getting by at the moment, as the Renault comes in and almost wipes out our championship leader there. So that got very, very close, perhaps too close for comfort there for Nismo behind. And this is then Nismo who's going to be able to get past the other drivers after the next sequence of corners, riding on board with championship leader Nismo. Through the mist again, the weather has changed drastically over the course of the last lap and a half. And again, he needs to be hitting that 1/4 of a tank on the as he crosses the start-finish line. Both these drivers now given the slowdown in ahead. He will ghost, thankfully, for Nismo, who's going to have to brake a little earlier than he'd like into the right-hander of Arnage. Now should be able to power out of here and get out of the way of, well, he won't be happy with that treatment at all by the drivers who are taking penalties. Bongit goes through as well, Izzy and Floody, but I don't think Nismo will be very pleased with the treatment there by both Izzy and Nismo blocking the track, Izzy and Floody blocking the track for Nismo to come through. But like I say, those Porsches might well make the end of this race. Will Bongit make the end? No, pretty much is the answer to that question. We're about to start, I think, the final lap of the race with leader Zen, but I don't see Bongit getting an extra lap out of the amount of fuel he's got left on the car now. Possibly miscalculating his fuel usage a little bit. Some drivers just do a kind of equivalent of hit and hope and just drive at 10/10 the whole race. There goes Izzy past the pit lane, so does Floody. These guys are on for a good result here. Izzy for a potential podium after being the last to stop, getting 5 laps out of that Porsche in the first stint. 1 more than anybody else and 2 more than the drivers who are in front of him, but frankly do have quite the pace advantage at the moment. So final lap then for Zen and Nismo. Zen would love to take the season finale with a win into the postseason, to just reassure himself that he can beat Nismo when it matters. It gives you that extra bit of motivation through the off-season training period, just to try and keep that gap. But that gap is 3.2 seconds Zen to Nismo. I don't imagine Nismo is particularly motivated to try and overtake Zen at this point, because he's got the championship sewn up with the positions finishing as they are. No need to take a big risk. But Izzy on for a great result here today, you have to say, driving tremendously and showing great bravery in that first stint to trust the process, trust the plan. Don't Need Time is running in 5th place as well, and should get the car home comfortably on the final lap of the race for everybody, of course. And for the first time, I think, this season, we will get all the drivers finishing in the correct order here. CrowdStrike still sponsoring Team Zin, despite this year's embarrassing situation, but I know sponsorship deals are signed many years in advance. Mercury is low on tyres, very low on fuel, and will be limping this Mercedes home. Flattered to deceive earlier on, and a curious strategic decision there at the end of the race in the final stint that leaves me just a little bit scratching my head. He has the fastest lap, and perhaps that was all he cared about today, feeling like the podium was gone. The fastest lap is a 3:43.307. Contrast that with a 3:45 for Zen and a 3:44.9 for Nismo. Back down the order then, just to have a look at these drivers all coming past Mercury, who is trying to get home here without going into low fuel mode. Glovas, Berman and Komakopa. That's Glovas. This is where it's all happening on this final lap. Komakopa sweeps around the outside and takes the position, holds on ahead of Glovas, with Berman closing in from behind. Berman should be on the soft tyres. He's gone for mediums at the last stint of the race, and half a tank of fuel, which is way too much than he needed. He just needed just over a quarter of a tank to finish this race at absolute full throttle all the way. So this is definitely going to be some squabbling. We may see an incident here as Komakopa gets a little rub from Glovas. Komakopa into Indianapolis, heading towards that Arnage corner. I think Komakopa would love to take Bongit before the end here. Bongit low on medium tyres. Komakopa with better grip will get great traction out of the next corner. Nobody picking up penalties on the final run towards that penalty marker. This is Komakopa then, obviously racing in the VR, as is Izzy, which does make it a lot more difficult, you have to say. Don't want to miss the end of this race as Zen is closing in on the Ford chicane. He goes in towards the Virage de Raccordement to finish the race out. Zen is going to win our season finale here in Le Mans in the GT3 World Challenge, and congratulations to him. Nismo takes the championship in second, no doubt about that in my mind, and Izzy claims the podium for Porsche, a 3-4 for Team Puma Porsche. Fantastic run there. Don't Need Time is closing in on the end of his lap as well. Outer time, it says on the back of his car. A nod there to Back to the Future. Komakopa has been nerfed into the barrier. We must check that one out again. And what just happened for Komakopa. This is him riding, trying to block the entry into the Ford chicane. Glovas was having none of it, I fear. Komakopa just slightly to the right of where he normally would be. And then Glovas, a pretty big hit there. I don't think that will have helped Glovas finish either. Glovas is stopping. He knows that he did the dirty to Komakopa for the finish, and that is a big shame to have that finish that way. But anyway, Bongit claims 6th. We'll go through the final run as Preston says, thank you, may I have another. Then went up 3 places, car 83. To the win of the race today. Really good race for Zen. No further plaudits necessary, but a 1 hour 2 minute 15 time for the race, and no fastest lap for Zen or Nismo, who takes the championship. Nismo is in second, Izzy is in third, with Floody in fourth, Don't Need Time and Bongit claiming fifth and sixth position. S. Berman in seventh, Chaotica came home eighth, despite running very high up throughout the race. Comacopa limped the car home in ninth, thanks in no small part of the race. Camzilla is in 10th, TD's in 11th, Preston in 12th position, with Mercury in 13th, but who claimed the fastest lap today. Clovas finished at the back. Sully was our safety car driver, but Zen and Nismo once again getting the points for Team Spotify that they don't even need, but Zen beating Nismo on the day. Nismo winning the overall championship in GT3 World Challenge. That has been your GT3 World Challenge Season 3.3 so far. This has been Webbo. We will be back online very shortly for another race for the GT4 World Challenge, so stay tuned, hit refresh as soon as this video finishes, and we'll be back on for some more racing action. Thank you, though, to the GT3s, and thank you, everybody, for watching, for liking, and for subscribing today. My name's Webbo, this is Deviant Racing, and we will catch you on the next race day.